I certainly had a light bulb moment when I learned, which is very easy to do, like to make custom GPTs. You could just go in and program, like upload stuff about your company, upload things, and then you have your own dedicated workspace that knows your voice, knows your this, knows your that. And so I think that it's just a little bit of putting yourself out there and saying, okay, this is coming, this is here,
Yeah.
and it's coming. It's not going away.
I
How do I
remember.
need to adapt? To your point, like you've been in sales for a long time, you've seen the sales world change so much. It's if
Yeah.
you don't adapt, you will be left behind. You
Yeah,
will need to get another career.
for sure.
Uh,
This is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast launched by Barbara Giamanco and now hosted by Lori Richardson. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider or continue a sales career, and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we need your support and appreciate your allyship. Now here's our host, Lori Richardson.
I'm so excited today because I'm here with Ashley Wilson, and Ashley is co-founder and COO of a company called Momentum, which many of you have probably heard about, and it's considered an AI go-to-market data orchestration software. So, Ashley, welcome, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing because it's so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and chat with you. Yeah, I mean, at Momentum, you're probably wondering, what is AI go to market data orchestration? What does that mean? And I think where we live and where we're excited about is to be extracting out all of the relevant information that's happening on customer calls and prospect calls. And so the data that lives in those conversations pre-AI really was getting left behind because you're relying on a sales rep or a CSM to go take notes, put that in the CRM. Maybe you fill out a couple fields. Maybe you wait for your one-on-one to get a real review of the deal. And we all have our limitations on just the ability to do that work well, to do it quickly. And I think that's where the tension always is with reps not inputting data in Salesforce, but leadership needing the data in Salesforce. So Momentum is really focused on extracting out and structuring unstructured conversational data and pushing it to systems of record like Salesforce, pushing it to teams where they live in Slack. And yeah, making sure that companies can just get the most value out of the conversations that are flowing through the business day in and day out.
Yeah, let's face it, people are really bad at keeping track of all the data in all the different containers. I don't know if this is what maybe this doesn't happen to you anymore because you have momentum, but I'll get a message from someone and I can't even look back and I think, what was that a text? Was it it was
Oh,
all these different platforms.
yeah. I do that today now with Slack threads where I'm like, I know somebody shared
Right.
that and I can't find it in Slack.
Yeah, and the one that drove me crazy, it turned out that it was a LinkedIn connection request where someone was inviting me to participate in something. And you wouldn't normally
Yeah.
look back on a connection request because you probably have
Right.
hundreds and
Yeah. That's
tons
just
of them as well. And I have like
totally.
300 at any one time. And it just wasn't the natural place to think. So it's just a matter of being able to pull all the data together. And AI isn't you're not thinking it's gonna replace all the salespeople, right?
Because I think that at the end of the day, I think there are use cases where AI can replace people. If you certainly companies are having great success with some of the chatbot support function on the website. Like I think when it's a very highly transactional sale, there's a world where that happens, but that's not so far off from like self-service where you never interacted with a person. You just wanted to get onboarded to a product. I
Yeah.
think where AI, at least in the world of enterprise sales, AI is assisting as the co-pilot to help the reps replace anything that is just tedious,
Yeah.
the stuff we don't want to do, that is stuff not related to this, which is like humans connecting and talking about problems and whether this is worth even having a conversation. And I think that's where, is there a world where that goes away? Sure, anything's possible. But like that means the person on the other side is also not a human either. So then we're talking
It's
But
already
very
being
different
planned by
reality.
agents.
Exactly, which might
And
happen. It might be agents doing agents, but then hopefully we're all on the beach somewhere enjoying our life, far away from a computer screen.
just getting a dollar sign every time the money comes in. Yeah,
Exactly.
I like that idea. Yeah, after being at SaaStr, it was so AI focused, and hearing Jason Lumpkin talking about just the fact that you have to be better in sales. You can't be
Yeah.
mediocre anymore. And I know working with hundreds, thousands of salespeople over the years that a lot of salespeople are not strong. And
Yep.
in that golden age we had a few years back where money was just pouring in, with people had such bad habits. And I agree that those reps that are mediocre, that if an agent can screen, this is a good prospect, you should talk to Ashley, that when I call you, I better know who you are and I better know your challenges might be so that we could have a higher level conversation. And that's an issue right now. Right.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. It's the expectation is the bar is higher for everyone. And I think that is a good thing. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have a lot of excuses when you didn't have to take a note.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do account research yourself. And I think it also will weed out people who just are, phoning in their job versus people who want to really grow in their career. And I think that will be part of why we will have leaner teams too, because you'll keep your top performers and then you'll try to automate out the things that they do without having before you sometimes would have to keep bottom performers just because you're like, somebody needs to close some of those deals.
Yeah, I'm happy to see those reps go away that never tried, that
Yeah.
have the will to be successful, that aren't coachable. I'm happy that it's like when the real estate market in the US kind of tanked a number of years ago, and the bad realtors who just did it because they could get a license, they were all gone.
Yeah.
And so it helped build up that real estate market. I agree. So going back a little bit about you, when you went to college, what did you think you would do? Because you studied English, right? You
Yeah.
studied,
I did English and journalism.
yeah.
So I,
That's smart. You can write, which is
that's,
and speak.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that is something that I figured no matter what, like being a good communicator is going to be
Oh,
critical for any job in the future. So I actually thought that I would be doing journalism, but I went to college as the journalism market and the newspaper market was collapsing. So even entering college, our professors were like, I don't know if you guys want to do this. Let's get real good at digital journalism because everything's changing. And by the way, so it opened up my world a little bit where towards the end of college, I was thinking, leaning a little bit more towards maybe a marketing role. And I have an arts background. So I thought that like doing marketing for the arts would be interesting. And then I moved to San Francisco on a vacation whim and I fell into tech through a chance and an encounter with a recruiter at a coffee shop. And so that kind of led me to my journey of just, but so I would have never ever imagined myself doing tech. I grew up in Atlanta. My parents are not, it's just like I didn't know anyone who did anything with computers. I didn't have any STEM classes.
and you
I didn't,
have any entrepreneurs in your family?
no, not at all. So it's not something that it's not an industry or a world that was really even a possibility to me growing up.
So shout out to the recruiter. Isn't
I
it
know.
interesting how one thing can change the direction of your
It's
life?
You sometimes have to just go along with those
Yeah.
random those are the things that are like the most life changing when you're just like, "I'll follow this curiosity. I don't know why, but I'm feeling like something's leading me towards that."
Yeah, and you have a really strong marketing background, but you also have been involved in sales. How did that progress to now you're chief operating officer? And how did marketing and sales support what you do now?
Yeah, I feel really lucky to have had kind of the journey I've had because I fell into this startup. I was employee like number 9 when I met the recruiter. I started out doing kind of office manager events. Like I was the only non-technical hire at the time. It was a Series A company yeah, seeds. I think we just raised a Series A back in 2010. And I ended up doing sales there because they needed help with sales. We had a sales leader and then he left. And then it was like, hey, you should do sales. And I was like, okay. But there was no marketer either. So I was doing both. And I think My experience with sales at the time was I loved the customer development angle of sales, like the discovery part of sales,
Yeah.
talking to customer or prospects and then customers.
Yeah.
But the stress of
Yeah.
a quarter ending and then starting over again, you get the one day of celebrating. I was
When
like,
you're
oh
back
no,
to
no, no.
zero.
I'm going back to marketing. Like I think at the time, just I didn't have the confidence to maybe I had some
I've always loved that. I love that no one in a corner office can tell me if I'm doing a good job. I can tell you if I'm doing a good job because I know if I'm doing
yeah.
numbers. I love being numbers driven.
See, I think that's what I didn't have in my personality and my drive, because I think that is critical to stay in sales. And I love working with salespeople today, particularly women salespeople. I know that's like a big topic of this podcast and what your work you do, because I find they are able to be analytical, numbers driven, competitive, but highly warm and connected and empathetic. And so a lot of times it's a conversation and it's just like a discovery, but they still have an edge because they know that they need to make their number.
Yeah, and those have been called soft skills for years. And when I got into sales years ago, it was a bad thing. No one talked about soft
Yeah.
skills. It was all hardcore.
Be a bulldog.
Yeah, that's right. Us against them, the prospect.
Yeah.
And now with AI, what I love is
Yeah.
that empathy rules now. This is the skill I can bring as a human that AI
Yeah.
replicate at this point in time. And so we work as a team. I can work with an agent and I can be very successful because I don't have to spend hours doing research anymore. Now, the people that still do that, and they're non-tech industries, although everybody says every industry is tech now, but they're old school people. And I could be one of those, but I've chosen to always learn, always be learning,
Yep.
growing. But there are people that still research and they're going to be replaced. Those people,
Yep.
we don't need we don't need you to research. We don't need you to spend 3/4 of your day or more on some means of communication and have conversations with people.
Totally. Yeah. That's that's our whole thesis. So I am totally bought into that as a future world that we're entering.
Well, I love that. I love the fact that we need to learn how to do that. We need to fit in. But also I was just reading about the sales coaching piece that you've just done, which looks really sound. I kind of looked through it quickly. That's available for people to look at. Like anyone can, have to be a customer. That was published on the Momentum website, right?
Yeah. We do a lot of thanks to Jonathan, our head of growth, who
Shout out to
spearheads a lot of
Jonathan.
this. To Jonathan, I have to give him so much credit because he came to us. He was a customer before he was an employee. So he's always been excited about us. But I think his viewpoint is that we need to be equally educating the market as we are selling momentum. And I think it's true because in this time of discovery of how to use AI, why do I use it? What do I apply it to? Everyone is in the same boat. Even we've launched our first AI related product at the end of 2022, right? As ChatGPT was coming out. And I feel like even now, 3 years later, still meeting so many people who are like, I'm lost. Like, I don't know what to do next. I have this board initiative. I know I could be leveraging AI more. My leadership team wants me to come up with a proposal. And I think that the education piece of it and demystifying some of it is so important because it's intimidating. It's learning something new. And then you add on the fact that everyone's talking about how we're all going to be replaced by AI. It's, yeah, of course, people are not going to be running. Not everyone's going to be running towards it because it's this thing to fear.
Yeah. So, what do you have any suggestions for how people can learn more? Obviously, reading your posts is really helpful. There are organizations like Pavilion that I think are very helpful. I see you're a member, and I'm running the Phoenix chapter here myself. So I came across just really the values. I just seen some great values in a group like that. Any other suggestions that you have?
Yeah, I think it depends where you're at in terms of your AI journey. Like at the most basic level, when I discovered a few months ago that my mom had never used ChatGPT. Okay, let's think about one use case, something like let's think about booking a flight or just considering booking a flight. Like instead of going to Google, go to ChatGPT and let's have a conversation. And I think that obviously probably in our tech world where most people are past that point. I think a lot of people are using ChatGPT in their day to day, so they see the power of it. But I think going beyond that, like I certainly had a light bulb moment when I learned, which is very easy to do, like to make custom GPTs. You can just go in and program or like upload stuff about your company, upload things, and then you have your own dedicated workspace that knows your voice, knows your this, knows your that. And so I think that it's just a little bit of putting yourself out there and saying, okay, this is coming, this is here,
Yeah.
and it's coming. It's not going away.
Right.
How do I need to adapt? To your point, like you've been in sales for a long time, you've seen the sales world change so much. It's if you don't adapt, you will be left behind. You
Yeah.
will need to get another career.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So how do you stay inspired you're in a leadership role now?
Yeah.
Do you ever turn to, I don't know if there are podcasts that you listen to or
Yeah.
books you've read or what inspires
Yeah. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've taken to going for a walk before my kids wake up in the morning, and I listen for 30 minutes because I just find that I have so few hours in the day to myself running a company and I have 3 kids. And the podcasts I listen to, like Diary of a CEO, or I don't tend to like too many like super business podcasts. So I probably grab, but something like Diary of a CEO has people who are into health and wellness and entrepreneurship. So I like the variety of people who are just have seen it, done it, and told me something new. So that's one. I actually read a lot of fiction. So instead of being inspired, like for me, I have to come out of my day and decompress.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go read more tech things. So
Right.
I read Substacks that are all about fashion.
Oh,
I'm really into music. I'm playing music. So I play my piano.
yeah.
I try to like tap into the other part of my brain
Yeah.
that is
Creative.
not, yes, as my inspiration. Cause I think that this world that we live in can be the tech world can be very tunnel focused and it just demands more and more. And I think especially being a VC funded company, you're on a pretty fast track with good pressure, but a lot of pressure to do more. And you can lose track of like your real life and the world around you.
Yeah, I find also there's a connection between seeing something really creative, like at a museum, or I was in an art gallery recently, and it was so inspiring. I've actually solved business issues looking at art, which is
Yes.
pretty cool.
I see such parallels to when I play music or piano, and my husband's an engineer by trade. I just so quickly made the connection of, oh yeah, this is like what flow state for engineering is the same as flow state for music, for writing. It's just like you need to carve out time where you are able to just be uninterrupted and let your brain free flow. Because I find that while these kind of conversations and being on Zoom all day is energizing for me, because I'm an extrovert,
Yeah.
if you don't get to have that connection to yourself, there's some critical to like running your day to day business and family and all that. So I think it's so important that we take those moments.
Yeah, and we don't hear a lot about women. There's so many issues that I would love to hear more about: premenopause, perimenopause, all that kind of stuff, because nobody talks about it. Even doctors. I was talking to
Yep.
a good female friend of mine recently, and it's like even doctors don't know much because they weren't trained.
Yep.
And yet we're
Yep.
having kids, we're raising families, we're dealing with parents in a lot of cases and yeah, brain fog or some other issue. And they say, oh, it's stress. Are you stressed, Ashley? You should take some medicine for that. So that's another issue I
Yep.
hope we hear more about in the future. I guess for a woman who wants to be a COO one day, wants to climb that corporate ladder, what advice do you have?
I think it's good to have your intentions and goals set early in your career because I think that you don't know where it will take you. But if you, I from the beginning said, okay, I know I want to have kids, but I want to be a working parent. What is that going to look like? So even at 22, 23, I'm like in my head, okay, I don't really want to be 40 working for a startup like this. That's going to be so so I just was like, okay, I'm going to have to carve out my own path. And then the other thing I said was, I if I'm going to go back and do a startup and all the demands of a startup, I want it to be my own. It's like I'm going to give it. I'm a person who really gives a lot to what I do. So I'm like, okay, I'm either going to do it for somebody else or my own thing. So I think if you
Founder.
yeah, that's why I think it's like the best way to be a COO is to be a co-founder because you get to give yourself your own title. So that's the truth of it. But no, but I think anyone in their 20s starting out, it does help to know where you want to get to in terms of your ambition, in terms of a family, in terms of where you want to live, the career you want to have, because the years do pass by.
Yeah, it's hard to know when you're young, though. You had wisdom beyond your years, I think, and it served you well.
I had a really good mentor in our CEO, John Dunham, at our companies that I worked at. I got to report to him, and half of our one-on-ones were about life. And I think just learning from somebody who had been in his career for a long time, and he would say things to me just like that of you need to really think about your view of your future and the things that are important to you and be intentional about it. Cause I think that it's easy too to get wrapped up. This was like in San Francisco in 2010. It's like such a nice wave of tech that I got to ride, but that also could go you could lose track of making your own decisions because you're just maybe chasing the next thing or the next money or the next job.
And that's where knowing where you're headed, when you know what your goals are, then it's easy to make decisions. So when someone offers you, I remember I moved from Seattle to Boston because my son was playing Division I college hockey, and I moved there to watch his college career. And then the company I was at gave me this opportunity to help open a London office. How fun would that be? That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
I knew right away
Yeah.
that's not why I'm here. And it was a quick no, even though it would have been great. It seems like
Yep.
at the time.
Yep.
So but that's a good lesson to know that once you're clear on where you're headed, even if you
Yep.
don't follow everything, you don't have to have all the answers, but you can, for now, this is where I'm headed, and see where
Yep.
that takes you. That's great. Any last words of advice to our audience?
I mean, I think you pointed out that you wish that there are more women in sales, but you wish that there were more women in sales. And I think that I had never thought about the role of AI in the sales space with allowing us to use more of those soft skills to be celebrated for that. So I think if anything, I would encourage more women to not be intimidated by maybe how sales has been presented in the past or perceived, because I think you're right that there is a shift happening and we're hiring people based on their soft skills just as much as like you get on a call with them and I'm like, you hear me on calls all day long. I want you to be really kind and charismatic to my prospects. Like that's equally important as everything else. So I think that is it hopefully will lower the barrier for people wanting to get into this role.
Yeah, there are over 200 university sales programs around the US.
Wow.
And the women that are in those programs, because they do competitions at sales competitions, and the women kill it. They're so good. And so then they get to corporate and they get their entry level role. It used to be SDR, BDR. Maybe it's going to be a full cycle AE now. I'm not sure. But then promotions happen or don't happen from there.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
like that the women are not moving up like the men are, even though they started out so well. So I'm looking to see some change in the corporate space to promote based on competency and not because it's a buddy of a guy who knows.
Yeah. And I think you have to have a good manager and good leadership that
Yes.
values culture within the team. Because I think that's so much of that filtering out of women is coming from a top down
Yeah.
hostile culture. That's just, and then especially as women are getting to the age of thinking about kids, you're like, yeah, no thanks, peace out. And it's unfortunate because it shouldn't be an either or. It doesn't have to be, especially today. And I think it's women are, and then especially when you have a child, and you're in such a crazy headspace with the child, you're like, I think this crazy, stressful, hostile job environment too. So I think it's like hopefully more more understanding around that, more better management around that, better management around culture, it will improve that too.
And more, I think we're seeing more fractional roles because I think a lot of
Yep.
women are just saying, I don't need an asshole for a
Yep.
boss.
Exactly.
I can
Yeah.
be myself and be a fractional, which I had never seen younger. When I started my company, people, consultants were like, oh, you can't get a corporate job. It was a
Right.
different
Yeah.
time. It was a mindset.
Yeah.
Not good enough to do that. And now
No,
it's
not anymore.
25, 30, and you're consulting in your own company. And it's
Yep.
working out well for a lot of folks. So either way, but I would love to
Yeah.
see more women in leadership roles in corporate too. So
Yeah. I agree.
great. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Ashley. Continued success at Momentum. I'm following closely. I think you're doing a great job. I love how you use their client testimonials that really help explain what you're doing, because that's what we need in AI. We need people to help us spell it out, that it's not scary and that it's going to be very helpful. Ashley Wilson, co-founder, COO of Momentum, the AI go-to-market data orchestration company. Thank you so much for being here today. Continued success to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'm your announcer, Larry Long Jr., and we sincerely thank you for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales, encouraging you to share an episode with all of your friends and your favorite male allies. Let's work together to change the face of sales. Until next time, you can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast.